everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. Today is going to be kind of a difficult video to get through just because it's a very emotional video, and I know that when it comes to very controversial topics and just big things like this happening in the world, it's really hard to voice your opinion, especially when you are using a social media platform, because you really open up yourself to people who can take things the wrong way or just be very ignorant and attack you because they have a totally different opinion than you. I really wanted to talk about things that shouldn't be ignored, and basically that's the racial injustice that's happening in this world. You know, this isn't a thing that has ever gone away. This is just something that's been more, I guess, socially accepted and kind of disguised in just a different way, which is racial oppression in our society that is in so many different organizations. It's just sort of like this construct of oppression that has really infiltrated our school systems, our law enforcement, our politics even. Even politics, right? George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, those are just the tiniest amount of people who have fallen victim to hate crimes, who have lost their lives, because I'm sure there are countless names out there, many that we will never hear of. And it's such a heavy topic to even voice your opinion on, but this isn't the time to just be quiet and stand on the sidelines. This is a time to really rise up as people. We're all people, and to stand for one another and to stand with each other in order to fight hate. And the way that we fight hate is what's the opposite? It's love. Now, I am a Christian woman, and so I wanted to give my point of view, and it might be a little different than other people that are not Christians, and that's okay. Like, we can all respect each other and our beliefs, and we can respect our opinions on the matter. I think as long as we are standing in this together, then that's all that really matters. Before I get into my point of view on all of this and what I believe we should do as a people in order to stand for justice, is I want to kind of give a little bit of a background on myself and where I come from. And so I am a lighter skinned Latina, come from Mexican heritage, so I am part of the minority. Minority because we really are majority in this country, let's be honest. So I come from Mexican parents. My dad is an immigrant from Mexico. He came here back, I think, in the 70s or something. He literally crossed the Rio Grande. Like, yeah, he did all of that in order to start a better life here in America. And out of all the years of my childhood, I grew up in the hood. This was straight up the hood. I have experienced drive-bys, I've experienced gang violence. I did for 3 years out of my life. My parents moved to the suburbs when they were still together with us, and it was an all-white suburb. And that was a little difficult for me. I wouldn't say a little bit, it was very difficult just because I didn't personally experience any kind of racial prejudice, because most people would always think that I was white. But I did experience, at one point walking down the street with my stepmom, who at the time only knew Spanish. This man, we were just walking, we didn't say anything, we didn't do anything, she was just talking to me in Spanish, and he called her a spick and was saying other things, and my mom had me go to the police station, and it was just such a big thing. But it was just, I couldn't believe it. I just remember myself just bawling. Just, for me, a little traumatic at the time, because I'd never experienced something like that. I have been racially profiled by others in the opposite way, as in, I'll give you an example. I was entering a Cubs game, we were at Wrigley Field, and I was going through security, and they were going through my bag, and I had a bottle of mace. And this is something that was given to me by somebody in my family who is of law enforcement. You know, as a young woman in the city, as a single woman in the city, you kind of have to really protect yourself, because any and everything can just come up from behind you at any time, any point of the day, and you just want to make sure that you're well equipped. But anyway, they found this mace in my bag, and the woman looked at me, and I told her, well, you know, somebody in my family gave that to me, and I don't really want to, like, I don't want you guys to confiscate it. But she just kind of looked at me, and she was a white woman, and she just was like, well, you don't look like the type that's going to spray the crowd or anything like that. So she just allowed me to take it into the stadium. And I just thought, well, oh, that's kind of disgusting. How do you know? I could be freaking like crazy out of my mind. Just because I look white doesn't mean that I'm not going to cause any kind of trouble, you know? And so, sorry if it gets really bright in here, but the sun is out and I look so white in this camera. It's so crazy. With my family, my mom and my brother are darker than my sister and I, and you know, growing up, you know, we did experience and hear about just different really racist remarks, or feeling very uncomfortable in certain towns. We were passing through, I think, Tennessee or Kentucky one time, and the people that were staring at us was just, it made me feel so uncomfortable. And I think I was in high school at the time, and I thought, you know, if it was just my sister and I, they probably wouldn't be looking at us this way. But because my mother and my brother are, they have brown skin, they're looking at us like, what are you doing here? I myself have experienced colorism, people within my own community, which is crazy, because like, well, we're of the same culture and background, yet because I'm lighter than you, you think that it's okay to call me out of my name and call me white girl and all this stuff. That just, you know, it's real like colorism, and you feel like kind of ostracized in a way in your own community at times. So I've faced things like that. I think that at the end of the day, whether you've experienced racism or not, we can all agree that the things that have happened, that the things that have been exposed in the media, it's wrong. It's wrong to take a human life no matter what. And especially under the circumstances that these people were placed under, innocent people. And it's our duty as just human beings to stand up for what's right. In the Bible, it says in 1 Peter 3:8, and it says, all of you have unity of mind, sympathy, brotherly love, and a tender heart and a humble mind. Right now, with the response to it, with all the riots and the looting and the burning down of police stations and everything, do I agree with that being a healthy response? No, I definitely don't. And you know, that's my opinion. But I think that the part of me that sympathizes, it starts to build this understanding of, okay, well, people aren't just looting and rioting and burning things down because they want to. It's because they're angry, they're hurt, they're heartbroken, they're tired, people are exhausted. You know, imagine leaving your house and having some kind of fear that something will happen to you, whether you lose your life or you get extremely hurt just based on what you look like, the color of your skin. You know, you might not come back home that day, or maybe one of your loved ones might not come back home, and it's just, that can cause this kind of response. And so I really want to be able to stand in unity, and through prayer, through voicing my opinion, through doing everything that I can in order to support and let people know, like, you're not by yourself. You know, we are here, and it's not just all Black people, but it's Latinos and Asians and whites and, you know, Native Americans and every single kind of culture just standing behind you. And here's the thing too, is that we have to remember that right now in all of this, like, the enemy wants to cause some kind of like fogginess, and he wants to disorient people and lose focus as to what the real enemy of this is, and that is said in Ephesians 6:12, which it says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." So we don't struggle against flesh and blood, which are human beings. That's not where our real fight is. Our real fight is in the spiritual world. You know, just like God can stir up faith and hope and love and unity, the enemy comes in to steal, kill, and destroy all of that. So he's going to stir up hate, animosity. He's going to stir up more oppression. He's going to stir up, you know, just pure hatred for one another. Right now is not a time for us to be focusing on okay, now we hate police. Because there are many police officers who don't agree with this. They're baffled at the way that the situation was handled, because it in no way was handled in a way that they're trained to handle things. And there are police officers out there who are actually doing their duty as police officers and honoring the badge and really serving and protecting the community. They're trying to add to it, not take away from it. And so the enemy isn't the police. The enemy isn't, you know, the politicians. The enemy isn't, you know, the people that are behind even racial injustice in the school systems. It's not that, but it's, you know, the enemy behind it is always going to be the spiritual forces that are actually influencing this type of behavior and way of thinking. And so one of the biggest things and most powerful things that we can do as a community is to pray, is to be there for one another, to let you know, your neighbor know, let your friends know that you're there for them, that you're praying for them, that we're praying for the city, that we're praying for our law enforcement, that we're praying for, you know, the next generation to come, that they won't have to grow up in a society where they fear for their lives just by stepping outside of their house. As Christians, we believe that, you know, God strips us of all of our identities that are placed on us here in this world. And it says it in Galatians 3:28, and it says, "There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is no male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus." Obviously, I am a woman, you know, obviously there are men and they have all their biological things that make them men. However, at the end of the day, all of those labels and all of those identities are stripped away from us, because we are all then followers of Jesus. And we need to look at the world in that way, is that, you know, that's not a black man or a black woman first. Like, first they are a child of God. First they have been created in the image of God. Whether they believe in Jesus or not, you know, as a Christian, that they are first and foremost a child of God, and that their life carries value, their life carries importance, and it carries a purpose that is greater. It's a time for us to come together. It's a time for us to rise up as human beings and really show what compassion is. What does sympathy look like? What is even a true brother or a sister in Christ? What does that look like? As Christians, we have a platform that God has given to us, and the light that we have inside of us that we carry because of Jesus. this is the time for it to shine. This is the time for us to do good, for us to show who God is in times like this. Because if we don't, we really lose such an opportunity for people to even grow closer to God, to know that there is goodness in this world. This world is filled with so much evil. It really is, and so much darkness. But if we allow the light that's within us to come out and to shine in other people's lives, no matter what that may look like, then the world will become a little less dark. And so it's part of our responsibilities, it's part of our purpose here on this earth as Christians to really be Jesus in this time. And what did Jesus say? Like, what does it say in the Bible? For us to come together, it's to have unity of mind, to know that, that we're here on this earth together to really help encourage one another. It's to have sympathy for people. When we can't understand people because we haven't experienced the same kind of racial oppression, then we sympathize with people. We give them brotherly, sisterly love. We come in with a tender heart, not a callous heart, not a hardened heart, but with a tender heart and a humble mind. That means pride has to go, ego has to go. You come in with a humble mind, a mind that is, there to listen. Sometimes the best thing that we can offer somebody is just our presence. Whether we say something to them or not, or we just listen to them. That is so important right now. The good works that we do right now will always glorify God. And this is a time for God to be glorified. This is a time for God to come in and bring unity in communities like he's never done before. I really believe that when things are torn down, that God really can use that as an opportunity to build it up even stronger again. And so, sometimes it takes things like this to really shake up the world and show people like, man, like this is a serious problem still. Racism is not dead and gone after slavery was made illegal. It's been concealed and masked and disguised as other things in order for people not to really be drawn to it and pay attention to it. It's kind of like, that's the way that the enemy works, is he likes to work in the shadow, because then people don't see it. People don't see what the real target is. But God's light exposes things. I want to say this final thing, and I think that many of us can forget this, but love is a very powerful weapon that we can use. Love breaks down barriers, language barriers, cultural barriers. I've seen it for myself when I have gone on mission trips to Thailand when I can't even speak the language out there. But the love that I have for those people and the love that they have for me, it breaks down every single barrier that comes in and tries to keep us separated. And God is love, God is love, and love is a powerful thing. And it says it in Song of Songs 8 verses 6 through 7. Place me like a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm, for love is as strong as death, its jealousy unyielding as the grave. It burns like blazing fire, like a mighty flame. Many waters cannot quench love, rivers cannot sweep it away. And it just shows that the power and the force of love, that nothing can ever come in and destroy. Not even water can come in and quench it and burn it out, because it's that powerful. It can blaze through everything. It can create something new. And so I just want to encourage everybody, don't be silent. At the end of the day, change starts from within your home. It starts from the way that you raise your family, the way that you think even yourself. Say if you're a single person, you don't have a family of your own. It starts within you, all of that change. And so I just want to encourage everybody to come at this time, do something, speak up, teach your children about racism, teach them what's right and what's wrong. Do yourself a favor and, look up the history of slavery, of just, racial oppression. of social constructs of oppression as well. Inform yourself. Share on your social media different informative articles and videos and all of that. Right now is a time for us to be understanding of one another in order to grow compassion and sympathy and be there for one another the way that a person needs in their lives. I always say, like, just placing yourself in that person's shoes, it really is such a game changer, and it really changes your perspective as to what they may be going through. I really think it's so powerful when someone just says, I'm here for you. You're not by yourself. Like, I'm standing next to you. And iron sharpens iron. It's so important for us to not do life alone and to really stand together. And when we stand together, we really stand stronger. Just encourage everybody to not stay silent, but to really speak up with love, speak up with faith and hope. But there is hope at the end of the day, that things aren't always bad and they don't have to continue to be this way. Just because, you know, racial profiling and injustice and racial crimes and all of that have been going on for centuries now, it doesn't mean that it has to continue that way. It doesn't mean that it's not possible for it to stop, because through God, anything is possible. And I know that when we unite in prayer, those prayers are really sealed in heaven and God listens to them. And even though sometimes it might not seem like prayers are being heard or answered, it's just waiting its appointed time, and that's it. And at the end of the day, God is in control of everything. I love you guys. I hope you guys have a great weekend or rest of your day, whenever it is that you watch this. And we will talk soon. Love you. Bye.